Hi, this is Mary from Rocky Mountain Gardens, and today I'm going to give you a tour of my May garden. I hope you enjoy it. Some things are not blooming yet. Some things did bloom earlier, so I have a few clips I'm going to insert into this tour to show you things that bloomed earlier in the spring so you can see what those plants look like. And I hope you enjoy having a little view of my garden now that it's coming back alive. So, enjoy! Here's a view of one of my earliest spring bloomers. It is my spring snow crabapple. Here is my garden bed, which is just in front of my porch area. And here you can see a Carl Forster feathery grass growing. And then I have a golden privet, which gives great color to the garden. Then down here you can see a variety of Heucheras, and then you'll see a hosta. That's a brand new little hosta that I just planted, as well as this gorgeous Heuchera, which has these curly burgundy leaves, just gorgeous. Then here we have blue oat grass, which is another beautiful grass. In the back here is a Jupiter spear, just beginning to be ready to bloom. Then right here in the front we have some Veronica blooming, and this is sage. It is the herb sage. Very healthy plant. Now I'm walking over to a shade garden that I showed earlier in a video. These are all transplants. To this garden. This beautiful hosta just transplanted wonderfully. It's very healthy and vigorous growing. My little variegated red twig dogwood is just starting to get its leaves. Then we have a variety of lungwort, Pulmonaria, which is a little different. It doesn't have as many of the polka dots on it, on the leaves. Rather, it is more of a silvery color. Here's another little Heuchera just coming out, recovering from transplanting. Then I have a little bleeding heart. Another transplanted hosta. A little tiny Jack Frost Brunnera. And lastly in this bed is another small Heuchera with lovely burgundy leaves. I really like that, and I wanted to show you that these leaves have, hard to show you, but they have a purple backside. It gives a lot of interest to this Heuchera. So This is my bed with mostly transplanted plants, and they're doing quite well. I keep them watered every single day to be sure that they can recover from the shock of being transplanted. Here's a look at my Royal Raindrops crabapple tree. It is really lovely because the leaves, I'm going to come up closer here a little bit, the leaves come out green but then turn to a burgundy color later, which is quite pretty in the garden. And here you can see a close-up of the blooms. Lots of buds still waiting to pop open, but this tree is one I highly recommend. It is a great crabapple, but it also is resistant to fire blight, which is an important thing to consider when you purchase a crabapple. Now in this area, continuing this bed, you can see this is a burgundy barberry plant, and it is a really nice bush that can be used in partial shade, full sun. I'm going to come in a little closer here so you can take a look at the leaves. They really are very pretty green tinged with burgundy. Next, I just planted some new tall garden phlox here. My phlox that I had planted here was very susceptible to powdery mildew, so I have purchased this, it's called Candy Store Coral Cream Drop, and should have pink blooms, and I'm hoping I'll get some blooms this summer. Anyway, it is a powdery mildew resistant variety, so I'm hoping it will do better here in this area and I won't have to fight the powdery mildew so much. Then I have a Stella d'Oro daylily and another hosta, and here you can see we had a hailstorm already, and even though it wasn't a bad one, I still had some damage to my hosta leaves. Then I have this cute little area here with a stump, which I have planted this variegated vinca vine around and gives it sort of a woodland look. And I have to say this variegated vinca is quite hardy. You see it planted in containers often, but I have been taking it out of the containers in the fall and planting it in my garden. It does spread, but not too invasively. Easy to pull out if it does grow where you do not want it to grow. And it just has a lovely color. It can tolerate full shade, partial shade, and sun. It's a very useful plant. Then I have behind here there's a Nadia plant, which gets little red blooms on it a little later. A couple of Nadias. This is a May Night salvia, which gets those really pretty purple blooms on it. Then here I just have beginning to come up a penstemon, a variety of penstemon. Some sedum. And a perennial geranium. This one has a pink bloom. I have a little tiny sedum autumn joy here. And another Stella d'Oro daylily. And then planted right here in these rocks is a clematis. Actually, I have two planted here. We'll see how it does this summer. One is a Jackmanii with the dark purple blooms, and I believe the other is Countess de Bouchard, which has pink and white blooms. we'll see what pops out later this summer. Moving down, you can see an arborvitae, tall arborvitae, which is really a nice specimen plant in the yard. And then a golden barberry, which just has gorgeous bright yellow leaves and just gives a really great pop of color in your garden. Even if you don't have anything blooming, this gives you color. One thing I really wanted to share with you is my Miss Kim Lilac. This is a Korean variety of lilac, and it's great for zone 4 because, as you know, we have late frost in the mountains, sometimes even in June, and this plant blooms later because here it is May 25th. It's just beginning to bloom and has a really lovely fragrance. It's just a gorgeous fragrance. But because it blooms so late, you're less likely to have your buds frozen off by our late frosts in the mountains. And then I wanted to show you, I'm really hoping these will bloom this year. I had planted 3 delphiniums in this area last year, and they just sort of limped along. But this year they've really come up, not the one in the middle as much, but they're growing well, and I'm very hopeful I'm going to get some beautiful delphiniums later. Today I also wanted to show you my purple leaf sand cherries that are blooming quite a bit right now. And they also have these very cute little purple blooms that are just great in the early spring. And then, of course, you have this beautiful burgundy foliage for the rest of the summer as well. I thought I'd give you a view of my gorgeous autumn purple ash tree. It has been doing really well and is healthy. I'm hoping it will stay healthy. Here I have a really cute and very small hosta, just really pretty colors. And then I just planted a Jacob's Ladder here. So it may be too late for it to bloom this year, but next year it should be fabulous. And then I have my variegated Solomon seal blooming and lots of perennial geraniums. This is the Johnson's Blue variety, which is really pretty. And here are more Solomon seal. I started with 3 plants and have gotten more as they have spread, and I'm happy about that. I do want them to spread. And right here we have another lungwort, which is blooming. Isn't that pretty? Pink and purple little flowers. This plant is very hardy in the Rocky Mountain area. It is a variety of catmint called Walker's Low. It has these beautiful purple blooms. I'll get up close here so you can see them. It's a very prolific bloomer in the early spring, and then later you can cut it back quite a bit and you will have another flush of blooms. In this section of my garden, I have a very healthy peony, some lovely buds on it. Then I have a small clematis climbing up this little trellis here, and a variegated Karl Forster feather reed grass. Then I have this gorgeous iris, purple and white. It's just magnificent. Let's see if I can get a better view of it. The sun is, whoopsie, the morning sun is here and it's just so bright. But I think there you can see a good view. And some more buds coming along. And then behind this is a Anthony Water Spirea, which will bloom later in the summer. It is has pink blooms. And then also another very healthy plant coming up here. It is a type of yarrow, yellow, very long blooming, a daylily, some white tall garden phlox called David. And then here I have a large amount of candy tuft, very pretty white blooms. And next to it, another May night salvia coming up and starting to bloom. Here we have some lilies and another variety of yarrow there. Have a small amount of gaillardia coming up here. I hope to transplant some more into this area. Another daylily and more irises. A Karl Forster feather reed grass here, and more irises. And then my variegated red twig dogwood, which is quite a large bush and just gorgeous in the shade and the sun. And I wanted to walk over here and show you. Here's my blue spruce. It's a globe blue spruce. Oops. Down here is a small aster coming up. This one is Aster fricardii. Munch is the variety. And I planted this one because it is the longest blooming aster that you can purchase. And you know, there's some lamb's ears growing here. This is a type of, let's see. I know the name, can't think of it right now. It'll come to me. And then I just wanted to share with you this basket of gold, which is just glorious here. Bright yellow, so pretty. And some more gaillardia popping up here. And I'm going to walk back over to a large shade garden. There's some Jupiter's beard. And this is my very large juniper here in the middle of my yard. I just love it because it kind of divides my yard into parts. But we'll walk up here to this area where I have some boxwoods growing in the shade here, and I highly recommend boxwoods for shade plantings. They're such a versatile small bush. They do well in the shade, they do well in the sun, and they're just amazing. Readily here. And I've just planted a few more things. This frilly leafed Heuchera, red color, just beautiful. More hostas. Just to give you a larger view of this area. Things are not completely planted yet. Still looking for specific plants for my pots and for different areas of my garden. And then here, more hostas, a fern leaf, bleeding heart, a really gorgeous Pulmonaria or lungwort, and here's another look at that Jack Frost Brunnera, which is just so pretty. And then a few more hostas coming up and being more robust. Another fern leaf, bleeding heart. And I'm going to come in here because I have another gorgeous Pulmonaria here that is blooming. Just love this purple and pink combination. Another little hosta coming up. And then my Manhattan euonymus, which is another great plant that stays green all year and does well in sun or shade. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this short little tour of my garden. And until my next video.